when 16-year-old Amara Okafor got caught speaking Igbo to her grandmother on the phone during lunch break. She never expected it would lead to 3 months of relentless bullying at Jefferson High School in Atlanta. What she definitely didn't expect was that a chance encounter with a Hollywood casting director would transform her pain into a career opportunity that would change not just her life, but how an entire industry approaches African representation. But this story isn't just about one teenager's triumph over bullying. It's about how the systematic devaluation of African languages in American schools is silencing an entire generation, and how one girl's courage to speak her truth opened doors that had been closed to African voices for decades. Amara Okafor had always been proud of her ability to speak 3 languages fluently: English, Spanish, and Igbo, her grandmother's native tongue. As a junior at Jefferson High School in Atlanta's affluent Buckhead district, she maintained a 3.8 GPA while participating in drama club, student government, and volunteering at a local refugee center. But on a Tuesday in October, her multilingual abilities became a source of humiliation. During lunch break, Amara stepped outside to take a call from her grandmother in Nigeria. Speaking in rapid Igbo, she was discussing her grandmother's health concerns and family news from their village in Enugu State. The conversation was private, emotional, and conducted in the language that connected her most deeply to her African heritage. She didn't notice that 3 classmates, Brandon Mitchell, Ashley Reynolds, and Tyler Cox, had started recording her on their phones. The next morning, Amara walked into school to find that a video of her phone conversation had been posted to the school's unofficial Instagram account with the caption, "When you order African food on DoorDash and don't know what you're getting." The video had been edited to emphasize the clicking sounds and Igbo pronunciation, with mocking sound effects added. Within hours, it had been shared across multiple social media platforms, accumulating hundreds of views and comments that ranged from ignorant to deliberately cruel. "It sounds like she's trying to talk to animals," read one comment. "Is this even a real language or is she making it up?" asked another. "This is America. Speak English," demanded a third. But what hurt Amara most wasn't the mockery from strangers. It was realizing that students she considered friends were among those liking and sharing the video. The bullying that followed the video's release was systematic and devastating. Students would make clicking sounds when Amara walked down the hallway. They would ask her to translate animal sounds or request that she teach them monkey language. During her American literature class, when the teacher assigned a presentation on cultural identity, one student suggested that Amara just click at us for 10 minutes and pretend it means something. The worst incident occurred in the cafeteria 2 weeks later. As Amara sat with her lunch, reading a text from her grandmother in Igbo, Brandon Mitchell approached her table with several friends. "Hey, Amara, can you translate this for us?" he said loudly, then proceeded to make exaggerated clicking sounds while other students filmed and laughed. When Amara tried to explain that Igbo is a sophisticated language spoken by over 25 million people worldwide, a language with a rich literary tradition, complex grammatical structures, and historical significance, the response was more mockery. "Sure, and I speak fluent dog," Tyler Cox replied. "Woof woof, see? That's African too, right?" The harassment became so constant that Amara began eating lunch in the library and avoiding common areas. Her grades started slipping as her concentration suffered. Most devastating of all, she stopped speaking Igbo entirely, even with her family. Her parents, Dr. Chidubem Okafor and engineer Addis Okafor, both successful Nigerian immigrants, were heartbroken to see their daughter's cultural identity being systematically destroyed by peer pressure. But Amara's story was about to take an unexpected turn. 3 months after the bullying began, Amara was working her part-time job at a bookstore in downtown Atlanta when she overheard a phone conversation that would change everything. A customer in the African literature section was speaking loudly into his phone, clearly frustrated about a casting problem. Amara, restocking nearby shelves, couldn't help but listen. "We've been looking for months," the man was saying. "The script calls for a character who speaks authentic Igbo, not some Hollywood approximation. The story takes place in Nigeria, and we need someone who understands the cultural nuances, someone who can speak the language with the emotional depth the role requires." The customer was Ryan Martinez, a casting director for Meridian Films, a production company known for their commitment to authentic cultural representation in movies. He was working on Daughters of the Sun, a film about 3 generations of Nigerian women and their connection to traditional Igbo culture. Amara stood frozen behind the bookshelf, listening as Martinez continued his conversation. The lead actress is fantastic, but she's American-born and only speaks English. We need someone young, authentic, who can deliver dialogue in Igbo with real emotional weight. Someone who understands what it means to be caught between African and American identity. Without fully realizing what she was doing, Amara stepped around the bookshelf. "Excuse me," she said quietly. "I couldn't help overhearing. I speak Igbo." Martinez looked up, initially annoyed at the interruption. But something about Amara's presence made him pause. "You speak Igbo?" he asked. "How well?" Fluently, Amara replied, then switched to Igbo. "I was raised speaking it with my grandmother. It's the language of my heart, even though people here make me feel ashamed of it." Martinez's eyes widened. Not only was her Igbo pronunciation perfect, but the emotion in her voice, the pain mixed with pride, was exactly what the script required. "What's your name?" he asked. "Amara Okafor." "Amara, I'm Ryan Martinez, and I think you might be exactly what we've been looking for." What happened next felt like a movie itself. Martinez asked Amara to read a scene from the script, both in English and Igbo. Her performance was raw, authentic, and emotionally devastating, partly because she was drawing from her own pain of being made to feel ashamed of her heritage. "You're not just speaking the language," Martinez told her after she finished. "You are living it. You understand the cultural weight of every word." Within a week, Amara had auditioned for the film's director, Ava Chen, a Chinese-American filmmaker known for her sensitive portrayals of immigrant experiences. Chen was immediately struck by Amara's ability to convey the complexity of being bicultural, the pride and pain of carrying multiple identities. But here's where the story becomes truly remarkable. Instead of just casting Amara in the supporting role they'd been trying to fill, the filmmakers rewrote the script to make her character central to the story. Daughters of the Sun became a coming-of-age story about a teenage girl caught between her African heritage and American identity. Essentially, it became Amara's story, told through the lens of her authentic experience. The filming process was transformative for Amara. Working with a predominantly African cast and crew, she found herself in an environment where speaking Igbo wasn't just accepted, it was celebrated. The language she'd been mocked for became her greatest professional asset. But the real transformation happened when news of her casting reached Jefferson High School. When word spread that Amara Okafor, the girl who'd been bullied for speaking clicking sounds, had been cast in a major Hollywood film specifically because of her Igbo language skills, the reaction at Jefferson High was swift and dramatic. Suddenly, the same students who had mocked her were claiming to have always supported her. The video that had caused so much pain was quietly deleted from social media accounts. Teachers who had remained silent during her bullying were now praising her achievement. But Amara's response was more powerful than any revenge could have been. At a school assembly about cultural diversity, she took the microphone and delivered a speech that went viral across multiple platforms. 3 months ago, you made fun of me for speaking my grandmother's language. You called it animal sounds, clicking noises, primitive communication. Today, that same language has given me opportunities you can't imagine. But this isn't about me getting the last laugh. This is about understanding that when you mock someone's culture, you're not just hurting them, you're revealing your own ignorance. Speaking partially in Igbo, then translating to English, she continued, "My grandmother always told me, Uni agala naya, never forget your father. But I would add, never be ashamed of who your ancestors made you to be." The speech was recorded and shared millions of times across social media, with the hashtag #ProudOfMyLanguage trending for days. Daughters of the Sun premiered at the Sundance Film Festival to critical acclaim, with particular praise for Amara's performance. But the film's impact extended far beyond entertainment. The movie sparked conversations about linguistic diversity in American schools and the psychological damage caused by language shaming. Educational psychologists began studying the phenomenon of linguistic bullying and its effects on immigrant children's academic performance and cultural identity. Amara's story inspired other multilingual students to speak proudly in their heritage languages. Social media was flooded with videos of young people demonstrating the beauty and complexity of languages like Mandarin, Arabic, Tagalog, Yoruba, and dozens of others. Most importantly, Hollywood took notice. In the year following Daughters of the Sun, major studios began actively seeking authentic multilingual actors for diverse roles, recognizing that genuine cultural representation requires more than just changing actors' skin color. It requires embracing their complete cultural identity, including their languages. Amara established the Heritage Language Foundation, which provides resources for schools to celebrate linguistic diversity rather than suppress it. The foundation has partnered with over 200 schools nationwide to implement multilingual pride programs that encourage students to share their heritage languages as educational resources rather than hide them as sources of shame. Today, Amara Okafor is a freshman at UCLA School of Theater, Film, and Television, where she's studying both performance and film production. She's fluent in 5 languages now, adding French and Mandarin to her repertoire, and has become one of Hollywood's most sought-after young actresses for culturally authentic roles. But she hasn't forgotten her roots. Every week, she still calls her grandmother in Nigeria, speaking the Igbo that once made her a target, but ultimately became her pathway to success. Her message to other young people facing linguistic bullying is simple. Your heritage language isn't something to hide. It's a superpower. In a globalized world, being multilingual isn't just an asset. It's essential. The people mocking you today will be asking you to teach them tomorrow. The broader lesson from Amara's story is crucial for American education. When schools fail to protect linguistic diversity, they're not just allowing bullying, they're participating in cultural genocide. Every time a child is made to feel ashamed of their heritage language, we lose a piece of human knowledge that took generations to develop. Asterisk, asterisk, dastar, dofkrate, ultami, utavert, Research shows that children who maintain their heritage languages alongside English actually perform better academically, show greater creativity, and develop stronger problem-solving skills. Yet many American schools still operate under the outdated assumption that multilingualism is a problem to be solved rather than a resource to be celebrated. Amara's transformation from bullied student to celebrated actress proves that what makes us different isn't what makes us weak, it's what makes us irreplaceable. If you've ever been made to feel ashamed of your accent, your heritage language, or your cultural background, remember Amara's story. Your authenticity isn't an obstacle to overcome. It's the very thing that will set you apart in a world that desperately needs genuine voices. Subscribe to this channel for more stories about young people who turned their supposed weaknesses into extraordinary strengths. And please share in the comments, what languages do you speak, and how has your linguistic heritage shaped your identity? Remember, in a world that's becoming more connected every day, speaking multiple languages isn't just an advantage, it's essential, and every heritage language deserves to be spoken with pride.